Can the Spurs, can they win the title this season?
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Wednesday. Welcome back to Locked On Spurs. We're in the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. As always, I'm glad to have y'all back. Thank you for being Locked On Spurs, your first and only spot for all things silver and black. We appreciate it. Subscribe at the Ken's 5 Plus app, YouTube, iTunes, Spotify. Seriously, pick a platform. We are there. Go subscribe. And thank you for making the Locked On Sports Podcast Network number one in this nation. What are we talking about today? Well, with the season about to resume tomorrow, it's a stretch run. It's here. 20-ish games left in the season. And the Spurs are looking really, really good right now. Won a winning streak heading into the All-Star break. But is this team already poised for a run at the title this season? Can they make that happen? We're going to give you the yes and the no's, all that good stuff, and then get it to what y'all are talking about over at the Locked On Spurs YouTube fan page. Let's go to bring in our guest. He is back after a long hiatus from here. Look who's on your screen, everybody. It's Vinnie Vinzetta, Ken's 5's very own. Vinnie, welcome back.
Where have I been all this time? Busy, I guess.
I guess, man, making all those bucks, buddy.
Yeah, let's tell everybody that. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Man, look at that. Look at that palace he has behind him, and I'm waiting for the
got my Diva Fiesta shirt on here.
He's ready for Fiesta and playoffs. Silver and black playoffs is around the corner. Look, Vinny, let's go to dive into it, man. The playoff drought is over. They're going to be in the postseason. Beyond 82 games is going to happen after 6 years. So, yay, Spurs. Good job. Yep. And they're definitely poised to make a run in the playoffs. I'd be shocked if they lose in the first round. More on that in a bit. But there's a chance, and things are kind of lining up, where the Spurs can actually make a run to the NBA title this year. Maybe a 6th banner hanging up at the Frost Center. Vinny, what do you want to start off with? Yes, they can make a run to the title, or no? Where do you want to start off?
I'm going to say yes, they can run to the finals. Because why do I say that? Because they say every year that there are 6, 7, 8 teams, and that's it in the league, that can win the championship. They're one of those teams. I think they're clearly shown that. At this point, I mean, they have as we speak, I think still the 3rd best record in the league. And and again, they're one of those very worthy teams. Now, things have to happen like avoiding injury and all those sorts of good luck things. But why are they a favorite? Because of that guy on the screen right there. I mean, you have Victor Wembanyama, who is, I don't know, I guess a top 5 player in the world right now. So they have a lot of complementary pieces around him, the way they've been playing this year. They've had moments that's kind of been a topic of conversation where they've sort of disappeared in games at times, but moreover, the record is what it is, and it's a very successful record at this point. So yeah, they're in the group that you want to talk about in 2026. There's no question. I would add, and then I'll be quiet for a second, that sometimes they say that a team has to get in there and learn and take their playoff lumps. Spurs could, I'm just going to say it, they could easily be in the NBA Finals this year. I'm with Shaq that they've had Oklahoma City's number, and I worried that they beat Oklahoma City too many times already this year, and the series, Western Conference Finals, for example, may favor the Thunder, but they are in the Thunder's heads. There's no doubt about that. So I give them every shot in the world to get to the NBA Finals this year.
Vinny, were the Thunder ducking the Spurs in the last meeting? They were ducking the Spurs.
Oh, yeah. No, they rested their entire starting 5.
Yeah, they were ducking them. Yeah.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt about that. I mean, there were like 3 games in a row. I'm trying to remember here, right? There was the Thunder, there was the Lakers, and there was Golden State. Everybody is ducking, and they're afraid. It was almost humorous at some point.
It really was. Let's look at some of the numbers of the Spurs right before the break. So let's look at their last 5 games, Vinny, and this is what tells me that this is a championship team already. So going into the break, 5-0, great. But get this, Vinny. They're second in those 5 games, that 5-game span, second in the NBA in offensive rating at 125. It gets better. Seventh in the NBA in defensive rating at 111. Gets even better than that. They're second in rebound percentage at 55.7%. And keep the things that matter, like turnovers, to a minimum. Eighth in the NBA in turnover percentage at 13.2. Again, that's in the last 5 games heading into the All-Star break. So the numbers are just eye-popping at what this team can do. So, Vinny, I'm also going to share with you my 3 reasons why I think the Spurs can win the title as soon as this season. I just hit on that. Elite defense. Defense wins games, Vinny. Defense wins titles. This team has shown since the start of the season till now, they can lock you up. We've seen in today's standards, the Spurs hold teams to just a little over 100, 109, 107 points per game. They've done that and check. So that's a check off my box there. And of course, you hit the hill. Number 2, right there. Wemby, that guy you see on your screen. Who can stop him? He looks like he's a man on the mission right now. And I want to ask you about this. Is this team the deepest team? Because if they're that deep, they can ride that depth for a long playoff run. I'm going to leave this on the screen here, Vinny, so you can look at this. But what do you think?
Well, I remember when they moved back-to-back finals runs in 2013, 2014. I used to say the Spurs had like 2 starting 5s. And while I'm not prepared to say that this team fully has that, I do agree with you on depth. But also remember, too, rosters shorten in playoffs. And not as many guys see action on the court. But I think they have the guys in those bench positions that can come in and be effective in a playoff setting. So I'm with you on depth. But again, man, that there is no substitute for experience in the playoffs. This group doesn't entirely have that. Maybe you can lean on Harrison Barnes a little bit, or just maybe lean on De'Aaron Fox for the number of years that he's been in the league overall. But I'm going to stand firm that the playoffs are a different animal across the board than the regular season. Everything tightens down. It's a lot more serious. So until they experience that, I'll be curious to see how that plays out for them, say in a first round series.
Absolutely. We're talking with Vinnie Vinzetta, my colleague at Ken's 5 TV. Make sure to follow him on X at VVinzetta. Do that right now. We're asking the question because the season is about to resume, and this is going to be a sprint to the end. Like, I can't believe it, Vinny's like 25, 28 games left. That's it. We're done.
Actually found myself thinking about that the other day. I mean, we get so busy in our lives, and my daily sports life is so busy. I'm like, wow, we're the middle of April, and the playoffs is going to be here quick. It's on what?
Yeah, it's going to be quick. So we're asking, is this the time, or are the Spurs primed to make a run? Now, we look at some of the numbers that prove that, the Spurs statistically have the chops to get it done. One more thing before we get into our topic of why they probably aren't going to win it this year. Real quick, now, I mentioned earlier about the stats of the last 5 games heading into the break. Now, just overall, so far at the point of the season, after 38-16 record, it's even better, Vinny. Overall, they have the 3rd best defensive rating in the NBA at 112.4 and the 8th best offensive rating at 118.4. And I mentioned earlier, like in that 5-game span, they have the 8th best minimal turnover percentage. Overall, for the season, they have the 5th best turnover percentage, at least keeping that to a minimum, 13.7%. And defensive rebounding only, they're first in the NBA at 77.3%. So, Vinny, they can get it done offensively. They're getting it done defensively. They're minimizing mistakes. They're cleaning the glass on the defensive end. This team looks like, wow, they could really challenge for that crown. OKC, beware. But, Vinny, we got to be a little realistic. We got to look at the other side of the coin. Maybe they can't. Vinny, start us off. Why do you think this Spurs team is not quite there yet? Ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for 2. That's right, flight, tickets, and the whole experience. If you're already looking at the board and thinking about which team can make a deep run, this is the perfect time to lock in. If you love futures, this is the time of the year. Whether it's picking a team to win the championship or grab a conference title, it adds a little bit of extra layer to the excitement of every game down the stretch. And now, not only can you pick cash, but it could also send you to the finals. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future to get entered for a chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. New year, new system. This is the time when a lot of us look at the messier parts of how we run our business and think there has to be a better way. And there is. Streamlining your communication is one of the quickest upgrades you can make. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled QUO, the smarter way to run your business. Because when your team is reachable, organized, and communicating in one place, you're not just working cleaner, you're creating more opportunities to connect with customers. The whole team can call, text from one shared business number so nothing gets missed. Everyone sees a full conversation thread, makes replies faster, more personal. It works right from your phone or computer and can even keep your existing number. That's why Quo smart AI tools automatically log calls, summarize conversations, highlight next steps so details never slip through the cracks. It's no surprise Quo is the number one rated business phone system on G2, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses from solo operators to growing teams. Make this year where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free, plus get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/LockedOnNBA. That's QUO.com/LockedOnNBA. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. Thank you for making Locked On Spurs your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the number one sports podcast network. If you haven't already, go check out our new Everydayer Club. Access to ad-free audio feed for Locked On Spurs, compatible with Apple's Podcasts, Spotify, and every other major podcast app. An invite to the members-only Locked On Everydayer Club Discord server, which includes a group chat for just listeners of this show and, well, hanging out with a lot of other fans on Discord. You want to go to this website right now, lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer club. Go there right now or just tap the link in the show notes to learn more.
Well, I go back to what I said earlier, Jeff. I just really believe that after all my years of covering this league and learning from players and coaches and listening to them, that playoff experience matters, and learning what it takes in April, May, and June really matters. And this group, again, they don't have that yet. But I think they've shown us they're ready to fight those battles. Whether or not they'll win them is still to be determined. But I just think that having experience in the playoffs really matters, and they'll be one of the teams that don't. So that could be, if you want to present the argument, that could be one of the things that gets them in, say, the second or third round, is they still have to wait their turn. They have to learn. They have to take their playoff lumps, and they're not quite ready yet. Whereas in Oklahoma City, Denver, maybe even to some extent, maybe the T-Wolves, some of the players the Rockets have, we know who the Lakers have, the Clippers, even if they continue to play well. So they're going to have to really, really dial in and do everything well in the playoffs that they're doing right now, which is a lot. They're doing a lot of things well, I think, to overcome some of those teams that may stand in their way, that have a little more experience in the postseason than they do.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let me give you my reasons why I don't think the Spurs are ready quite yet for that title as of this season. Put on your screen here. Maybe not. You hit it on the head. Inexperience. The core of this team has zero playoff experience. Even that guy you see on your screen, Wembanyama, zero playoff experience. Keldon, none. Devin, none. Castle, none. Harper, obviously none. The list goes on and on. Sure, Barnes has experience. Cornette has experience. Olynyk has experience. But those are not the guys that are going to carry this team during any type of playoff deep run. It's going to be up to those young bucks, and they don't have that. You know what worries me, Vinny? I'm going to leave you on the screen for a little while longer. Would you be nervous if the Spurs ultimately fall at number 2 and they draw a battle-tested Warriors team in that first round with a healthy Steph Curry and a Draymond Green that definitely gets up to playing Wemby and the Spurs? Would that worry you? Because that's a battle-tested team.
It would a little bit. I mean, they had a back-to-back with them early in the year here in San Antonio, and Golden State won both, if memory serves.
Yep. Right.
It's either a back-to-back or it was 2 games in 3 days. But anyway, I think we were all surprised the Warriors rolled in here and took 2. And that was early in the year. We all get that.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, of course you worry about the championship moxie of a Golden State Warriors team. Are they what they once were? No. But again, you just said what I said. You worry about that championship moxie. They've been there, done that. And so they understand in those settings, and it would be curious to see how the Spurs would embrace and understand what it takes in that setting to advance on.
Absolutely. All right. Point number 2, they're not going to have home court at some point. If they stay in number 2, they're not going to have that. Even if they make it all the way to the conference finals, that's going to – can you imagine the conference finals in the gym, in OKC's gym or Denver's gym, Phoenix's gym, whatever gym it is? They're going to have to realize the road doesn't go through San Antonio. That, I mean, talk about the pressure just of the playoffs alone, but then trying to win a series against an OKC or a Nuggets or fill in the blank, whoever team on the road. Go ahead.
Can I add to that? Tony Parker used to say, God bless him, legend. We all love him dearly, but he used to say that, if you're going to win an NBA championship, you're going to have to win on the road. And I would say, well, no, actually, no, Tony. If you can secure that number 1 seed and win all your home games, you can. Yeah, yes, you have to win. You have to win road games, but being you have home court in every one of those. So you could have home court all throughout the playoffs if you secure that number 1 seed. So it is tough to go to a place like Oklahoma City and to Denver, to your point, and who knows where else. So that's you can argue that they're tough environments in the regular season. They are triple tough in the playoffs.
Yes. And I'll take the image off in a bit, everybody, but I really got to leave the third point. And the third point is probably a big one for me. I don't know about you. The lack of floor spacing, that 3-point shooting.
It's a big concern. It's a league that shoots threes. It's a huge concern.
Yeah. How concerning is it, Vinny? Well, let's look at some of the numbers here. Now, granted, they're on a winning streak right now. That's great. But in this winning streak, they're actually 20th in the NBA in 3-point attempts at 39.6. They don't take that many at all. The list goes on and on here. All right, so let's look overall. They're actually 16th in 3-point attempts at 41.8. So, again, they don't really like taking a lot of threes, and obviously so. Do you think floor spacing on their end could be an issue? Because in the playoffs, Vinny, things slow down. It becomes more of a half-court game.
I agree with everything you just said. That's a great fair point. That is a concern. Obviously, they have guys that have shown on a very regular basis. I'll go down the list here. You have Victor. You have that guy who is a professional mid-range.
A assassin. Yeah,
scoring machine. You have Steph Castle, you have Dylan Harper, you have Harrison Barnes even at times, you have Keldon Johnson. You have all these guys that can score inside the 3-point line and attack the rim and do their thing, but 3-pointers do matter in the playoffs a lot. That is for sure a concern how they will kind of approach and attack that.
Yeah, so, let's kind of sum it all up now. We looked at both sides of the coin, gave some quick points of why not they can. Obviously, the luck is going to have to do a lot of it. Knock on wood, no injuries happen to the Spurs or any other teams. But sometimes that ball does fall on that end of the court, and it could play in the Spurs' favor. You're seeing right now from the Nuggets to the Warriors, even to the Thunder themselves, the SGA, they're hurting right now. That could be a factor into how deep the Spurs go. Another one is just bracketing. I don't fear the Thunder, as maybe many other fans probably do, Vinny. I actually scared more of the Denver Nuggets if the Spurs were to draw the Denver Nuggets early in the playoffs. Because if they hold right now at number 2, they're likely to draw the Nuggets at some point in their march in the playoffs. So I think bracketing is going to have to do a lot with it. That's why I'm hoping the Spurs get the number 1 seed. What other X factors do you see could either help or hurt the Spurs? Workplace chaos, deadline stacking up, inbox overflowing, and one position you have to fill is still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is Job 4 Sponsored Jobs. Indeed, Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people you can actually fit what you're looking for, skills, experience, location, so you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching for more time interviewing candidates who check all the boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of the show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need a hire? There's a job for Indeed sponsors job.
Everything you just said.
Okay.
Knock on wood. If you can hear me knocking there.
Yeah, he's knocking hard, everybody.
You want to stay healthy. Bracket plays a big reason as to why a team will advance or not. And I've heard some other conversation about that, and I agree with you. Running into Denver, especially if they're fully healthy, they've just sort of been lurking and not a huge story over the course of the season right now. They're just quietly kind of there, and I think they'll be fully dialed in with the Joker for another postseason march. It's interesting. Oklahoma City, they started like 24-2, whatever it was, and everybody proclaimed that we should just cancel this season.
I remember that. Yeah,
and they've been barely above 500 ever since. So you wonder about their confidence. I mean, they are professional athletes. I get it. They'll probably be able to dial in just fine for the playoffs, but they don't look suddenly, invincible, and maybe like they once did, and everybody crowned them in December as NBA champions. Yeah. Not even close. And the way the Spurs again have had their number and been in their head, I think the Spurs would relish the opportunity to run into the Thunder, Western Conference Finals, or whenever it is in the playoffs.
Absolutely. One more point before we give our ultimate decision here. I'm gonna put his image on the screen for you. That guy, Mitch Johnson. He's a rookie NBA head coach, and look, we know he's going to be going to the playoffs. Yay, way to go, Mitch! Good job. But do you think his inexperience could be a factor in all this? This one's tough. This one's tough for me.
I think because he's got a little bit of experience down the bench. He's got qualified people, obviously working with him. But yeah, I guess a lack of playoff experience for a head coach is an interesting thought. Mm-hmm. Some people have wondered about different rotations at times and why certain players haven't been in there and quotations winning time and things like that. But to me, Mitch exudes a confidence and a calmness that I think could do the Spurs well in any playoff postseason setting.
I'm with you too, and that's one thing that's been very noticeable for me during the regular season is if the Spurs trounce another team, if they get trounced, barely win, barely lose, he's the same guy on that podium every time. He's not too excited. He's not too low. He's very even, and I think that's a testament to him and trying to keep this team, with the mentality of, hey, we just got to push on, move forward, no matter we've won big, lost big, barely lost, barely won. I think I love that from him. So I think that's really good about him as a young NBA head coach. But imagine him then looking across the sideline, it's Mark Daigneault or it's Steve Kerr. you really have to maybe play a lot more chess in his mind to try to get those two guys. But hey, we will see. Ultimately, Vinny, I'm going to say the Spurs do a deep playoff run. I don't know if an NBA Finals appearance is in their book this year. What do you think?
Agree.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say not quite yet, but they're gonna get playoff experience. They're gonna learn some battles. They're gonna see some things and realize what it takes. OKC's window is wide open still. The Spurs window is opening. Denver's championship window is still open. You never know who below them, whether or not a Minnesota, an eighth round, a Lakers, Clippers, who might get hot. So there's a lot of teams going to be battling for this thing, and I'm glad you used the word chess. Man, I'll tell you, of any pro sport out there, I think, baseball is a great, beautiful chess match, but the chess match of coaches game planning during the NBA playoffs is something special to see, for sure. I agree with you on that.
Absolutely. All right. Well, what do you guys think? Are the Spurs poised to make a run to the NBA Finals as soon as this season? Let us know. Let Vinny know on X at Vinzetta. Let me know on X at Jeff G Spurs Zone. Hey, Vinny, we're not done yet. Just a couple more things. We're going to be looking at what the Spurs fans are talking about or the Locked On Spurs YouTube page. So let's go and dive into that. And the first one we got here is from Hey Deeb 1979. Vinny, he says, or she says, I'll miss Sohan. Sad he didn't develop with the Spurs. What are your thoughts on the Spurs waiving Sohan?
Every year on every NBA team, there's a player with talent that gets lost on the roster because of the success of others, and it happened here. That's exactly what happened here. I could be wrong. Please correct me if I am. I don't know that he really fell into the doghouse. He just got lost in the roster, and it just didn't work. It didn't fit. And I think they did right by him by letting him walk. I have a lot of respect for that move. They sailed around the deadline market, and there was just no deal for him. But the right move was to let him. He wants to play. That's the fair move. He handled it with such class. I think Mitch Johnson was a pro about it too. So I think it's a win. Maybe not necessarily for the Spurs losing a guy like that. It's a win for him to get out there and find his place in the world, which apparently he has now with the Knicks.
Yeah. For me, I wasn't surprised. I know everybody's looking at that Laker blowout game where the Spurs just smacked up LAL.
Yep.
And like, whoa, like Sohan didn't play a second. He didn't play a second. McLaughlin got more burn because Sohan got zero burn.
Yeah.
But I looked further back and I say the first big red flag outside of his lack of PT was when it was reported that the Spurs told him and his camp, hey, go look for a deal. And if you can find one, we'll just rubber stamp it and buy. I mean, that's telling. That's telling to me, Vinny. Yeah. That's saying like, your time here in San Antonio is all but over. What did you also think about that press release that his team put out where via the press team, thanked everybody, but not Mitch Johnson. Mitch Johnson's name did not pop up once. You think much to do about nothing?
Could be kind of a parting shot. I mean, we were all able to dive into those kind of statements and dissect them, but I don't know. Mitch's comments were just kind of, every time he was asked about it, were just kind of bland and general and just kind of glossed over the subject. So maybe there was a touch of animosity between both sides, but in the end, they did right by him, and he has a new home, and we can close the Sohan chapter.
Absolutely.
Till he visits next time to the Frost Bank.
Hey, they get a crack at him. They'll be going to the Knicks gym during the Roadie road trip, and that's part of the Roadie road trip. And I'll be wondering if the ball accidentally goes out of bounds on the Spurs sideline, and Sohan has to dive for the ball, and oh no, it's not Mitch Johnson in my way. Crash. All right, we got time for one more.
Sohan is a bruiser. He's that guy,
That he is. All right, one more comment here. The Locked On Spurs fan section over here at the Locked On Spurs YouTube page. Make sure to go check it out. This is from RBT Harper. He left a comment. Says, one good thing is that our depth allows us to sit cold shooters if desired. It's kind of going back to what we talked about earlier in the show. about the Spurs' depth being a big thing heading into the postseason. What do you think about that? The depth that the Spurs have can cover up that big wart they have, which is lack of consistent hot shooting.
In the playoffs, I don't know that I'm big on that.
Okay.
Your guys are who your guys are, and you got to have them out there. I think guys at this level in this league, if they're not falling, maybe you stop shooting, even though they're going to say keep shooting. But I don't know that I fully buy that one. Because you have your rotations and guys move in and out. Guys pick their spots. You know who has the hot hand, so. Maybe not a great answer there for me, but that's kind of my thought on that viewer comment.
Yeah, I think depth is great. I'm with you, Vinny, but it's still, I mean, that's a big award to cover up.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can put all the depth out there you want, but if that depth cannot knock down some long range balls, then yeesh, you might be in for a long night. I mean,
remember when Pop would get upset at his starting five in a regular season game, and he would call timeout and replace all five guys.
Know that.
I don't see Mitch Johnson doing that in a playoff setting. I don't think Pop would have done it either in a playoff setting. So
yeah,
I'm just not. Yeah, I'm not. I think you just roll with what you got, and guys will find out again who's got the hot hand, and you play the game.
Yeah, exactly. And because when the Spurs outside shooting is on, this team is a handful. It is, but the problem is that's few and far between. And the other thing too is that if anything that covers up their lack of consistent hot outside shooting is their defense. Their defense definitely covers up that wart. I don't know about their depth though. Their depth is special. It's good. Keldon and the Cornette and Harper, all those guys come off the bench. But still, look who's coming off the bench. Keldon is not known for being a knockdown shooter from beyond the arc. Harper, still a work in progress. Cornette, obviously not. The list goes on and on. But their defense definitely can help them cover up that issue that the Spurs have heading into the postseason. We'll see what they do. Hey, thanks for leaving those comments at the Locked On Spurs YouTube page. If you want to take part, just go to Locked On Spurs on YouTube, leave a comment, we'll read it in a future episode. Vinny, what you got cooking over there on the Kens 5 side?
Oh, just a big story this week. Went over to H-Town and spent some time with a fellow named Kingston Flemings out of Brennan High School, who now plays for the Houston Cougars and is playing so well and now the chance for a Final Four run. He's going to be a lottery pick, Jeff. Nice. At San Antonio Star. And so visit with him, talk to Kelvin Sampson, the Cougars head coach, just about what this season has been like. It's going to be, sadly for UH, his one and only season here because, again, he's going to be a top pick in June. And I know a lot has to play out here. A lot has to play out. But wouldn't it be insane if the Hawks kept losing games and Spurs wound up falling in the lottery where they could draft the hometown kid in Kingston Flemings? Wouldn't that be funny? And not that they need him with all the young guard power they have, but wouldn't that be funny in the end? But no, good story. He's a great kid, and it's going to be pretty awesome that one of our own here from the city is going to be a lottery pick and in the league at the end of June. Was Kelvin on his best behavior with you though? Was he? He was great. Okay, great. Good. It was great. The SID said, hey, it is a full practice day before their home game tomorrow, so you never know what kind of mood he's going to be in, but he was great with us. In fact, he sat down and I told him a story when I interviewed him in his office when he was at OU in Norman, Oklahoma years ago, and he had no memory of it, but I think that was a good icebreaker. And I was efficient with my time, had him in and out of there in 7 minutes, and I put a soundbite on my Twitter page. Actually, you can actually scroll down. My last question to Kelvin was, I said, Coach, I know you got some Spurs DNA in you. From your time as an analyst here years ago. Have you had a chance to talk to Coach Pop after all he's been through? Gave a long, beautiful answer. He actually ragged on Pop. He said he came and talked to our team at the Final Four here in San Antonio last year. We were practicing at the Victory Capital Center. He came and talked to our team before we played Duke in the Final Four. We won the game, but then he didn't come talk to us before we scored the title. So I'm blaming Pop for that. Ha, 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 ha. The pop jinx. He doesn't talk to your team, you lose. So no memo to every other team out there except for the NBA. Let Pop talk to you. By the way, before I let you go, did he lose it? Was it his for the winning? Oh yeah, no, yeah,
Right.
yeah, 100%. He was running away with that thing. He led the whole way from start to finish, and he ran out of time. He ran out of time on his finals attempt, and he had to just throw up a standard dunk. But had he completed that last one, he would have won the thing. So heartbreaking for him. But yeah, he was the guy. It was his for sure.
Yeah, I'm with you. It was his to lose at that point. And he did say afterwards, though, that he does want to come back because he feels like he left something out there on the court. So hopefully Carter Bryant will be back next year to get that title. He could have been the first Spur ever to win the dunk contest.
And you know what? The league next year needs to put Carter and Castle. How about 2 Spurs in the dunk contest?
Hey, I'll take it. He is Vinnie Vinzetta. Make sure to follow him on X at VVinzetta. Do that right now. Vinnie, as always, thank you for taking time out of your very busy schedule to join us here on Locked On Spurs. Everybody else, we thank y'all for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. You know where to find us. iTunes, Spotify, Ken's 5 Plus app, YouTube. The list goes on and on. Hey, while I got your ear, go check out the Everydayer Club. So you're probably asking, okay, what's that? So basically, it's something that the Locked On Podcast Network offers where you can get this show ad-free. You get access to a Discord channel where you can, for free. You can join other Spurs fans and chat it up. It's all there. Here's what you want to do. You want to go to this website, lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer clubs. You do that right now. Go have some fun. Sign up ASAP. We'll be back tomorrow as the Spurs season is almost going to resume. Just one more day. But I believe you have on deck, Vinny, your former colleague, Casey Vieira. He'll be joining us tomorrow. So, yeah, that guy. Yeah, he'll be coming on tomorrow. Talk all things silver and black. So for Mr. Vinnie Vinzetta, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.